Hi guys, welcome back to Into the Light, a different life story, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Another fantastic day, an early day for me this morning to get up to speak with Bruce Sanchez. Bruce is a caring, courageous leader who is nowadays living a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful life. We're a little bit alike in the passion that we bring to our life, and therefore it was so cool to have him on my show, to bring him on. And of course, that was not always the case. So today I'm so delighted to have the courageous leader, Bruce Sanchez, here with me in my studio, beaming in from beautiful Melbourne in Australia.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure and honor to be in this show with you in your show from Melbourne, cold Melbourne.
And of course, you've got a strong Aussie accent there. Yes, everyone can hear that. Yeah, so your story didn't start in Melbourne, did it? Where do you come from originally?
Well, you'll be surprised. I actually born in Melbourne.
Oh, excellent.
But I just grew up in Spain. That's where I grew up.
Right.
My whole life, and I came back almost 7 years ago with no English. Can you believe it?
Oh yes. I thought I knew how to speak English, and then I moved from Germany to England. And I remember the first night out, I was actually best in school in English. And then I went out with 5 girls, and they might have as well spoken bloody Chinese. I did not understand a single freaking sentence. And you think, what the hell? Exactly. What did I learn in school? That was such a reality check. So I understand you. And this is a bloody scary and lonesome feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I just remember my first time when I came back, when I left, was a little baby. I couldn't remember anything. And then imagine myself landing in the Melbourne airport with my Australian passport and not speaking English. It's like, and I thought I was good at English back in Spain.
Yeah.
And then I thought, that will be easy. Just give me a few weeks. Oh my God. When I landed in the airport, it's like, what? I don't know what. Yeah, it's like, this is not English. No way.
You're so
this
right.
Is something else.
And oh, goodness gracious. So as a little baby, you went to Spain, but you didn't go alone. So mommy and daddy went with you there? Or?
Yeah. My whole family moved back to Spain because they lived in Australia for nearly 10 years, something like that. And they moved back to Spain. And just where I grew up, and I spent my whole life.
Wonderful.
I came back, like I said, 7 years ago. Best decision I ever made in my life.
Now, people would of course argue, come on, Spain, romantic, healthy Mediterranean diet, a lovely lifestyle, relaxing. You know, those cliches that people have. I've been to Spain, both as a tourist and I've got an interest in people, and Spain has been hit hard by recessions over the last few years. Unemployment is huge, and there are many social problems there.
Corruption.
Did you?
A big one. Yeah.
Unfortunately, and it is what it is. So, how was your life there? What did you do when you grew up? What job did you take on?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, I worked with my family, which I didn't like, because working with my family, the role that you are in your family, you keep it at work. You know that there's not such a thing. When you're working, your role as a brother, as a son, or whatever, that's BS. So I started working with my family in construction, which I hated at that time, didn't like it. And my family, my parents, they didn't get along well when I was a little kid. they argue a lot. Well, they even went a bit further than words. So I grew up in, we had everything materialistic speaking. My father was rich. We had everything, like stuff like house, cars and everything, but they were arguing all the time. And sometimes, like I said, further than words. And when I grew up as a child, seeing that at home, that created, how to say this, an unstable environment. You don't know what's going to happen each night or each day, or, So
was there alcohol involved in your parents?
In my parents' alcohol, my mother was, because this came from years ago, right? Before I born. And yeah, my mother was dealing with depression and taking prescription drugs, and then sometimes alcohol. And then when my mother started doing that stuff, start arguing with my dad, screaming, yelling, and then my dad just, exploded and hit my mom. And that's what I saw that like several times when I was a little kid. And that created, for me, was a big trauma, because everything I went, any situation, whatever, in a park or in the beach or in the cinema, whatever. At the time I heard someone arguing, I was connected to that, and I was freaking scared. I was shaking, my hand was sweating, and I had to run because I couldn't handle. That was when I was a little kid. So,
but we are both
the best childhood.
No, please. But we are both the same age thereabouts, and certainly when you grow up at that time and have this kind of childhood trauma, no one really cares about. I mean, there was no counselor around, no one to talk to, no one for you in school to go to and say, my parents have a fight and I feel awful about that. No one was helping you. So there you were laying down already a lot of trauma, a lot of scars deep inside that then program you in your further life to maybe do stupid things, or will contribute to you doing stupid things.
Correct. That helped me. Yeah. Because at that time, my mom, don't talk about this to anyone. This is no one business. What happens here stays here. And then, okay, I have two more brothers, and we coped, or we dealt this with how we could. And then for me, growing up in that environment led me, it was my choice after all, but led me to start experiencing with some substances at early stages of my life. When I was 13, I started trying cocaine, 13 years old. I had money at home, and then I needed to escape somehow. So there was money everywhere at home, and I took some money. Let's try something. Go with friends. I paid everything. Had a lot of friends around to have a party. And that's how I started trying. Cocaine and smoking, and like a party. It was fun at the beginning. Obviously, it was fun, but I don't know how to, when was that moment when that shifted from party to necessity, right? Because it was like a now and then, maybe a week in a month or every 2 months. I was still young, right? But when I turned 15, 16, it became a bit more open. Right. When I turned 18, that was every single weekend. And from every single weekend, now every time I had money. It could be a Monday, it could be a Tuesday, it could be a Wednesday, anytime. And the thing, or the big problem with cocaine, I mean, if we need to make a difference from other drugs such as heroin, it's not like a physically physically visible. You can't tell if someone is addicted to that unless you actually see doing the stuff, because you cannot tell and your body, my body, you know what I mean? Unless I'm super high, then you can see my eyes and stuff. So it's not physically destructive. It's more mentally, more psychologically, but it is very addictive. At that time we thought, cocaine is not like heroin. You can get addicted to that. You can stop anytime. Yeah, but we didn't. That's the word. I can stop this whenever I want. Yeah. All right.
Were you still working in construction, or were you at that time?
At that time, yes, correct.
So it's interesting that in construction, and you use the we word. So there were lots of your friends were actually doing cocaine in Spain. Is that so? What was the price of a line, or how did you buy it?
That was grams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at that time, because it wasn't the old currency, it was pesetas, but when we shifted to euros, it was around $50-$60.
Yeah. Okay. And that is, how long would that last you?
In the beginning, a lot. On my last year, that was not even a starter. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe in one night, easily for myself, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Okay. And that's, of course, that's where the money really comes in. Goodness gracious. I mean, I did the maths. For me as an alcoholic, I would use $30, $40, $50 worth of alcohol a day at the end. And that if you add that up, that's a hell of a lot of money, because that was every day without fail. But then again, if you then get into drugs, you often add another zero to that. And then, of course, the question is, where does the money come in? Was construction really so lucrative to support you there? Or
I was stealing money from home until the money was gone, and I didn't have any money, so I started borrow stuff, not stealing stuff from others. I was stealing money from home, not from other people, because I wasn't that. I mean, I feel like I'm really ashamed if I was doing something like that. But from home, I didn't care, you know. But I was unable to go to someone and assault someone to get money. I was so scared to do something like that. But at home, I didn't care at that time. I didn't care in a way, right? Then I regret it each time, but it didn't stop me anyways.
So you were clearly a high-functioning addict. You kept your job. You had still some moral compass to guide you away from crime, or really from prostituting yourself, or
correct.
doing anything like that. I mean, there are many reasons or many ways how addicts choose or feel pressured to make money. So I'm so pleased for you to hear that. But I mean, how did your family respond to that? I mean, first of all,
my family knew it before I reached them out, like saying I need help. They knew because it was obvious at the end. It was kind of obvious. But when I reached out, first my mom, then my dad. My mom obviously started crying, but it was a good reaction. I knew it because I was so determined. Because I said, I need help. I tried on my own. I remember I did it on my own. I was sober with nothing for 9 months, like a pregnancy. And then relapse again. And I remember that summer, that was summer of 2002, the year before the 9/11, 2002. I remember that summer. I was alone. I rented an apartment. I didn't pay anything. I didn't pay the rent for 3 months. I didn't pay the bill, anything. And I saw myself in a position that I said, look, because I clearly remember that day, I was consuming so much alone with no friends. I didn't want to see anyone. I think I was taking 7, 8 grams that night, just me. And I said, I stop this shit, or maybe in English doesn't make a lot of sense, but in Spanish makes a lot of sense. And I said, I stop this, or this thing is going to stop me.
It makes perfect sense. Bruce, it makes perfect sense. It will, and that's the outcome for us, isn't it? Either we get our shit together, or we are in jail, or we are dead. These are the three options. There are no other options for an addict. And I'm so pleased for you that you got that insight yourself.
Yeah.
What did the cocaine do to you? How did it change you? Why was it so attractive to you initially? And then what did it do at the end? Yeah.
Initially, I was very sociable because I was shy. I was very introvert because I was seeing a lot of shit at home. My mom, don't talk to anyone. I was like very shy and very care of people. Yeah. And every time I was doing some drugs, I felt like I could talk to anyone. I was hugging people and, feeling like cared, loved, wanted, you name it.
Same here. Yeah. Same here. Exactly.
It was fantastic. Yeah, it was amazing. Right.
But then things change with every drug. They change. So the initial high is gorgeous, and you don't need much for it, and the world is the best. And then there's a point when you do no longer take it to be so-called high, but it is to numb the pain. Yeah, and correct. What did the drug do then? Did it actually numb the pain?
It made it worse. Because the pain was there, and I remember I was starting to be aware of my problem. Like I was having a problem, actually a problem. I knew it deep down. I knew that I was doing something wrong, but I didn't care. But I started to care. And that's when I really started realizing that I was killing myself. And that using that drug at the end of my journey with the drugs, I was feeling like going alone, not wanting to see anyone. Do you remember the first thing, like being so open, so sociable? It did the reverse. Now just more introvert, even more than when I was a little child, right? More introvert, didn't want to see anyone. I was like just consuming to myself and not understanding why I was doing that, but I couldn't stop it either.
Was it shame and guilt that you were an addict?
Yeah, because I was stealing money, and then my parents and my brother knew it, and I was feeling bad to myself, but and I was all the time regretting, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then 2 or 3 days later, doing it again. And, that kind of,
So you're a failure constantly in your own eyes. Indeed. Yeah. And that's how I felt. And that is so brutal. And as a failure, you don't want to admit to it. I didn't have any leaderships. No, wrong. I had a lot of leadership skills at work. And even at the height of my addiction, I was still sort of a leader. I was emotionally retarded. I was hurt. I was full of shame, guilt, and whilst we call ourselves high-functioning alcoholics or high-functioning addicts, I doubt that I was really high-functioning. I was sort of functioning. I kept a job. Yes, I kept a marriage, kind of. It is. Yeah, no, guys. If you are, don't put lipstick on a pig and call yourself high functioning. Most of us are not. That's the reality check. And forgive me out there if I try to if I'm blunt here, but it is important that we speak the truth and that we are as leaders. We need to be honest Honesty and transparency and authenticity is the key, and that's what we are doing here. So, guys, don't be upset if I sort of chip away at your own mask that you've carefully put in front of your face. It is what it is. And the good news, though, is if you look at Bruce and me, if we two can get our act together, then there's probably a chance for you out there. So, and exactly. And so Bruce, you spiraled out of control. When was that about in your life? How long ago was that?
When I took the decision to stop and reach out my family, it was September 2002. Yeah, it has to be 2002. Yeah. I nearly forgot it already. Nearly 20 years ago. Yeah,
20 years. It was beautiful, beautiful. And how did your family respond? You said the night that you said, I need help, there were the tears of your mum. What did your dad say?
Because at that time my parents got divorced, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. My dad didn't believe my mom because my dad was living he was living in Portugal at that time.
Oh, I see.
And then he thought my mom was talking BS. And then when I went to see my father, I told him in person, no, that's happening.
Yeah.
And that's real. And actually had a letter that I wrote to him. Because I went to a therapy program in Spain, an amazing program. It took me 18 months. Coaching didn't exist in Spain. I mean, no one hear about coaching in Spain at that time. So, but I wrote a letter to my dad expressing all my feelings that I had to him.
Excellent.
And I was really scared because my dad never raised a hand to us. Never. He did it to my mom, but never with us. But I was so freaking scared of him because I saw his reaction. So I was really scared about, what if I say this? I don't know how is it going to react. And I said, F it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And look, these are my feelings. And he knows. He deserves to know from me how I feel and how I've been feeling for these years. And my dad, who is someone who never cries. He never cried. He started like crying. He told me, I never thought you were scared of me. Never thought it. And he felt really bad. It wasn't the intention. My intention to make him feel bad. I was just trying to explain him how I was feeling. And I know he told me he felt really bad about it because, parents, they're not meant to hurt their children, right? And one of the lessons that I've learned from that program, because I was blaming them all the time for my youth. Now, because of them, and the therapist, one of the things that I'm never going to forget is like, did someone pointing a gun in your head to do drugs? No, right? What do you mean? No one forced you to do it, right? You did it. Yeah, but because, shut up. Cut the BS with me. You did it because of you. Forget about your parents. Your parents did the best they could with the resources they had at that moment. And that's it.
And how beautiful.
Blame them.
I know. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? You have just nailed it. And it is, for me, there was so much resentment and anger in me. And a lot of bad things had happened to me. So yes, there were good reasons to drink, but ultimately I did not have the resources. I did not have the ability to deal with negative emotions. I had no idea. The only thing I had learned in life is to numb the negative emotions and pretend that everything is all right and work harder. Now, the work harder, that works for a little while. You can distract yourself, but the problems don't go away. So, but I had never learned to deal with the problems. I had never learned to communicate. Yes, in my job, I could communicate very effectively. Could I communicate when it came to those things that really mattered? my family, my wife. No, my wife and I had fights. Not physical, but the Third World War would be nothing compared with the fights that we two had. And it is such a strange thing. I keep saying nowadays, it's virtually impossible for my wife and me to have a row. We both, if one of us says, "Arr," then the other says, okay, do you need a bit of time? Or are you hungry? Have you eaten something? Do you want a cup of tea or something like that? We look after each other, and very quickly it turns out that whatever was happening there in this moment had nothing to do with us. It was an email that she got from someone, or she was maybe hungry, angry, lonely, tired, all these things that set you up to be, and it is, nowadays we've recognized that. But that took me 7 years. And for her, it took her 7 years to follow, I guess, my leadership. Because like you, I ended up in a rehab program. I was 4 weeks inpatient. And then thereafter, basically, I kept working on myself with some guidance. And it was the most beautiful transformation. And it was, I've been so bloody blessed where I am now, and the same with you. So I 100% I 100% feel you. I know where you have been, and I recognize myself, and that's painful actually. But the pain is there. The pain, we have been there. We have gone through so much worse pain. To actually see your dad crying must have been a very powerful thing. How did the relationship between your dad and yourself then move forward?
Yeah, to be honest, my relationship with my dad was always good, a good relationship. I mean, he was a good dad to us. Yeah. He was always the good guy, and my mom was the evil, right? That were the roles. And now the relationship with my parents, my brothers are amazing. I'm still having a special relationship with my mom, because my mom is still in depression. She's still on prescription drugs. And she never turned the page. She still dwells in 1995. That's the year that got divorced. And she's always reminding, your dad did this to me. I'm trying to help her, but my mom, I know that my mom doesn't want to get helped, because that's the way she wants to live. And there's just little things that I can do to make her life better, because she doesn't know anything like that. And then she doesn't see the way out of that life, or that year, let's say that year, because she's still dwelling on 1995. But now, for me, it was really hard for me to see that on my mom. Like, she was repeating the pattern, and being trapped in that circle, right? And now that I became a coach here, and high performance coach, now my mom, when we talk, she sometimes asks for advice.
Nice.
And she relies a lot on me, right? Because she says, I wish I could be like you. You have the age. You're not as old as me. You know, that kind of BS, right? It's always, if it's not the age, it's the... And I say, Stop it. You can reinvent yourself.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Absolutely. The oldest person that went through the rehab program that I attended was in the mid-70s. A very heavy-duty alcoholic, and she turned her life around. And please, there is no stopping. If you put your mind to it, there is no age limit. I'm sorry, you're 49 and turning 50 tomorrow. That's it. Sorry, that's it. No more turning back. No, bullshit. Yeah. The past does not equal the future. At any one time, you can make a difference. It's as simple as that. Oh no, that's brilliant. So 2002, so you started opening up to your parents. You had started engaging with a drug program in Spain at that time.
In Spain.
Yeah. When did Portugal change its attitude towards drugs, because Portugal is nowadays a leader in drug programs because they have basically decriminalized many drugs and rather put, instead of dealing with addicts as legal problems, they're now dealing with them more as a health problem, what it should be, because addiction is a disease that can be treated. So when did that occur? Can you recall?
The Portugal, well, I saw my because my parents went to live in Portugal in 1990. Can't remember. 98, 90, before 2000.
Yeah.
And then he was coming in and out to Spain.
I see.
Yeah, and then he came back again to Spain in 2004 or 5.
Yeah, okay.
Around that.
So now, it must have been after that. It must have been after that the legalization actually occurred.
Yeah, I never heard it. Yeah, what you're saying, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
Now it is, because that is, of course, the issue with regards to how does society deal with addiction. Is society actually criminalizing it? Which means that people even more going into hiding and even more are afraid of coming out and seeking help? Or is the society actually describing addiction as a disease and therefore are now helping people? We see a change here in the last year or two. Our police has been more focused on health. And rather than giving fines for drugs, they are opening up and saying, here, there are programs, that is where you might seek help. So health referrals, rather than giving a ticket or whatever it is that they think they have to do. And that is something, in my eyes, extremely positive, because the more we can actually open up and say that addiction is not something that you are such a bad person. You're not a bad person. Something has happened to you that you want to numb your pain. And now you're trapped in that. That is a disease. That is, you're diabetic and you need insulin. As simple as that. So no one would say, oh my God, I'm a diabetic, I'm a bad person. Or if you have got asthma and you need your Ventolin, your inhalers, no one would blame you. How dare you be an asthmatic? Yet we have got that problem with addiction and with people who have never found better ways how to deal with their suffering than to numb it. So it is a disease, guys. And as with every disease, there are treatment options. And the only thing that stands in your way is you yourself. If you can focus on that first tiny little step, which is huge for you now, that is to admit that you're in trouble and to accept that there are actually people out there who might be able to help you. That is a tiny step and a huge mountain at the same time. But if you can do that, then Bruce has done it. Bruce has sought help, and I have sought help. Bruce, you did it out of your own wish. For me, it was my wife who dragged me literally into the rehab. But once I actually saw rehab for what it was, a place where I can get better, there was no more stopping. And this was so beautiful. It was so, so, so beautiful. But going back to then, you were in Spain, you were, the cocaine you ditched. You were starting to learn new coping mechanisms as part of rehab. So you started to reinvent your life. Were you still in construction, or were you then moving on? Were you trying to find different avenues?
Well, I was doing the program because it took 18 months, because it was a program to go once or twice a week in a group, therapy group. Yeah. So while I was doing the program, I kept myself working with my family. But as soon as I finished, I said, look, this is time for me to emancipate.
Yeah.
Right. And what can I do? I was 23, 24 years old. No education. I didn't finish high school. With no experience other than construction, something that I wasn't going to try. So I like sports and kind of security. So I remember I was summer in Spain as a lifeguard, which I enjoyed, but it was just for the summer. Then I drove an ambulance for a private hospital in Spain too. And then I became a security and bodyguard because I like that kind of activity. And then I became a Krav Maga instructor. I don't know if you know what's Krav Maga.
Very much so. It's one of. I very much know Krav Maga, and I've trained it myself. But tell us about Krav Maga.
Well, Krav Maga, it's a Hebrew word, means combat contact, something like that. And the principle, the foundations of Krav Maga is just respond against an attack or threat, right? It's not initiate something. You need to resolve a conflict when it's already started, if you can, right? And you can do whatever you can, which means it's you have to protect yourself, right? If something's threatening you with a weapon, and if the only thing they want is just your wallet, for example, might give it the wallet. Don't pull yourself in. But if it's a real threat that your life is in danger, there is no rules. There are no rules here, my friend. Mm-hmm. You need to resolve the situation as quick as you can and run away. And one of the things that really caught me is the discipline, the exercise, the physical condition, because it's really hard. Really hard. The training, the stress training, a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, stand-up, hitting. You condition yourself in your mind to push a little bit harder each time. Even when you believe you can't, there's always something else in your tank, believe it or not. That, oh my God, that was like something that I really, really wanted to. I remember when I saw it for the first time, where you've been my whole life. I've been looking for you at Krav Maga.
Oh, it is amazing. It is. It's honest and it's raw and it is beautiful. It comes from the Israeli Defense Force, and there it was really created. Originally, it came out of brawling from the founder of Krav Maga was basically living at Nazi times, and the brown shirts, the Nazis, were basically beating up Jews. So a few Jews got together, and the founder was a wrestler himself. So he basically very quickly on the streets developed systems to quickly deal with very real violence, life-threatening violence. And that was the origin of it. But the Krav Maga is such a simple system because it uses normal, natural responses of your body and enhances them and uses them as weapons. So there are no artificial stances. There are no weird, the crane, hiya, none of that. It is just simple, hey, come on, man, let's just talk. And then from there, that's where... Exactly. So, but what I like is there is a clarity in that, and there is a clarity in the response. In this particular case, you have done the de-escalation. You have tried to get out of it, but now there is a moment that you have to react, and it is becoming clear to you in your mind. You don't like that situation. You don't want to hurt a human being, but it is becoming clear that at this moment in time, you need to deal with that. You cannot walk away. You cannot take drugs to forget the pain. You cannot do it. You need to respond right now, right here. And that acceptance is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it can be scary when I talk to others about being willing to use extreme violence to stop a fight, because I have been in fights and I know what violence does to you on the receiving end, and that I'm now very calm and collected and very happy to do whatever it takes to win this fight, that is scary for others because they have not dealt with that decision making. Yet, for that, I've come to terms with that decision. Should it arise one day, I've made that decision already. So let's extrapolate. Would it not be interesting that if you train in this way, you could also train your mind for other things? So sooner or later, you will have depression. That's virtually a given. 1 in 3 of us will develop a low episode in your life. Would it not be cool to actually think about it like training in Krav Maga or in self-defense? And you think, okay, this will happen. What would I do? Just as much as you say, this guy is throwing a punch. Well, how do I defend myself? What do I do with it? And that's, there is a response to that. Why not create in your mind responses to those things that will occur? From depression, anxiety attacks, your temptation to use or to drink again, those kind of things. All these little things, sooner or later you will run out of money. There will be another financial crisis. There will be this, there will be that. Why not imagine the situation and deal with it in your mind? Try different scenarios. What would I do if? Would that not be a cool way how to live your life? Mm-hmm. And that is so beautiful. There you've got discipline. And Krav Maga is about taking action. Recovery is about taking action. Living a beautiful life is about taking action. So there are so many things that are together. And often these things are interwoven because imagine you start going to a Krav Maga studio and you're learning that. What do you think will happen? Initially, you will feel like shit because you haven't done a push-up for 100 years. Okay, but then after 6 weeks, what do you think? Your body will say, that feels good. So suddenly there is that. And then you go a bit into sparring there and you have done a minute and you actually survived that. And you actually thought, wow, I did handle myself. Can you imagine that there is maybe not so much shame and guilt there, but actually a sense of pride, a sense of you getting stronger? And what was to happen if you build up on that and then build up on that and build up on that? And that's exactly what Bruce has done. Man, Bruce, that's where you were. You are not just doing a bit of Krav Maga now, are you?
Well, now I've been teaching Krav Maga for the last nearly 10 years teaching.
Exactly. So therefore, you've done it once or twice.
So now I'm on a different stage of my life. Even when I came back to Australia, I was teaching in IDF Caulfield, which is a Jewish gym in a Jewish area. That was for me like, oh my God, I couldn't even believe it. I was working with people from Israel. They were bringing instructors in from Israel. And I became a head instructor in IDF Caulfield.
Oh, beautiful.
I became a head instructor. And I went to, in 2018 was one of my last workshops. Yeah. I went to Gallipoli Barracks in Brisbane to teach, to instruct a knife fighting for a group of military people.
Excellent. Excellent. See, I mean, you have grown so much from this hurt little boy in Spain who was then numbing himself in his teenage and early tween years, and then rock bottom, and you have reinvented yourself. You have become this new guy who said, actually, Dad, construction, not really mine. You doubled a bit here and there, and now you're head instructor. You are working hard, but in jobs that you do enjoy. You have changed your life so much, and it's amazing. Are nowadays little Sanchez running around in your house?
No,
not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, no. My wife and I decided not to have kids, and my beautiful wife, she's Colombian, and we decide not to have, not for, just because we don't feel that cold. So decided not
that's
to.
obviously your choice. But what I was trying to say, or where I was wanting to lead, was that with all the experiences that you have accumulated in your life, you would be such a different dad. There is often the thought that, granddad has beaten dad, so dad has beaten you, and then there is this, it's like a destiny, you will beat your children. And that's so not true, because as parents, I state that no parent really wants to hurt their children. So unless you're a psychopath or a sociopath. But we do what we at the time think is best, and that's what our parents did, their grandparents did. But it doesn't mean to say that once you are an addict, that your children will become addicts. That's not a given, because you, Bruce, have changed your life around. So you have become a leader now, a leader within your family, a leader within within Krav Maga, obviously, a leader at work, because your attitudes will make you a natural leader, even if you might not be up there in the ladder of rank within your work, but still you're a leader. And that has come from the hard work that you have put into your life. Man, I mean, you called yourself earlier a leader. And when was the first time that you recognized that?
It was not long ago, to be honest, because I was kind of confused with that word, because I associate leadership with hierarchy or authority.
Exactly.
And it's not. A leader is not it's someone who inspires rather to impose or to force someone. Because I was kind of confused, with like leadership or leader, someone who commands and has his or her followers, and everybody's follow him. But it's not at all. And for me, a leader is someone who, like I said, inspires other people. And for example, now in the prison that I'm working in Melbourne, I'm a correctional officer, and we work in a team, and I really like the team that I have right now. I'm not a supervisor. I'm just an officer, but I do care my team, and because I know them, and I know how to get the best of them. Like, because we work really hard. Being in a corrections facility sometimes can be really, really hard. So you need to trust your team. You need to trust the people that you work with, because sometimes could be, I know when I say death or life, but sometimes we were facing situations, right? That's how I ended up having PTSD last year. But for me, a leader is someone who inspired the team to do the best, regardless of the position, regardless of the ranking, regardless of whatever, right? Someone who is there, like you said before, show up and inspires, and then I fell in love with that concept, that meaning of leadership, and I said, you know what, I allow myself to see me as a leader in that way. Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I love the way you define that, because that is true leadership. That is true growth and self-confidence. And with that, you calm things down. And it is beautiful. With that, giving yourself the permission to be that person will allow you to be just that little bit different in your confidence. And you might walk into a situation, and just by you being there, you de-escalate tension, and you de-escalate maybe a very hurting prisoner who wants to lash out at the world and he can't lash out at anything else than a prison officer. But just you being calm and collected there, this can be such a powerful, powerful thing. And that's yeah, no, oh, please. This is, and again, this is something that you have transformed into and that you keep transforming. Because here you were, you had all the trauma in your childhood. You had the trauma of the addiction. You got your shit together. And guess what? Life throws you more trauma. Yay, bring it on. That's it. And that is what it does. That's what it does. It is every bloody time. Every time I'm sort of coming out where I'm saying, yes, this is my year. And then life says, you wait. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. As if the gods up there are looking down and say, Stefan, look, he's getting too cocky. We need to do something about that. And that's what happens. It is what it happens. But what we can do is give us permission to be ourselves. Give us permission to be the real us and work on that. You're going to your training, you giving your leadership to in your courses, in your evening training sessions, you giving back puts probably a smile on your face and makes you stronger. You being out there and helping people through your coaching puts a smile on your face, therefore makes you stronger. There will be days when you think, oh God, I just want to roll up into a ball and leave me alone. But you will have recognized that these are normal days. You can't be always on the top of the world. There will be times when you're not so well. But nowadays, you and I, we can deal with that. In the past, oh, that was a catastrophe. Oh my God, I feel bad. Then you get guilty and shameful that you are tired, regardless that you've worked 16 hours straight for, I don't know, 100 days. And it is beautiful to see you, Bruce, to actually the way you have transformed, to see the passion in your eyes. Man, this is gold. You are a powerful man and a true leader in my eyes. So, and some people will think, shit, this guy is good. And they probably don't talk about me. They talk about you. Bruce, how can people get hold of you? How can people work with you and take advantage of all your experiences?
Well, I mean, people can talk to me or connect to me or reach me out on. I don't like social media, but I'm on social media. But I have to be honest, I'm so overwhelmed with the social media. But yeah, if you type my name, Bruce Sanchez, you can find me either on LinkedIn and Facebook. Yeah. I normally post some things about in relation of my experience and the coaching, high performance coaching practices that I'm doing right now. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not very active so far because, there are more things to do out of the social media.
Exactly. Right? I couldn't agree more. It is, that was never a huge part of me. And I agree with you. It sometimes can be overwhelming and daunting. But then again, it is more about people being able to get hold of you and being actually able to get that connection with you and to say, hey, maybe there is time for me to open up. And maybe there is time for them to say, okay, maybe this Bruce could be a good coach and could be the guy who doesn't take my bullshit because you can't bullshit a bullshitter. So therefore we both have been big bullshitters in our life. So therefore we can see through you guys out there very easily. You think you can hide? Not really, not with people like us, because we've done it all. We have invented the lies. We have invented the places to hide our cocaine, our alcohol. We have been living in the shadows. No.
You're saying in Spain, let me see if can make a kind of sense. You cannot tell me a story when I'm on storytelling, something like that.
You can't bullshit a bullshitter. I think the English have got that saying. I think that is very descriptive, maybe a bit rude, but so spot on, because that's what we are as addicts. We are bullshitters. We are liars. We are that we show behaviors that we are not proud of. And the sheer fact that you guys out there are listening to Bruce and me means that, yeah, there is probably something not so nice in your life. And we too are examples that, you can transform. You have got, the only thing that stops you is you yourself. Yeah. You yourself. Once you actually accept that, once you accept that you can make a change, it will not be easy, but you can make a change. I rest assured. Then this is where your life starts. Bruce, thank you so much for coming on my show. This was a fantastic thing, a fantastic interview. And I recognized myself in so many of your sentences. It was very humbling for me, this interview, because I felt the pain at times in my own memories. And I'm so grateful to you that you came and actually rattled my cage, because I will live my day a little bit different today because I've met you, and I will look at my leadership without, I will just, you planted a seed in me to relook at my life, and that is beautiful. So I continue my transformation. I continue to deal with my traumas, and you today have been an instrumental part in that. So for that, I thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so honored. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. I cannot believe it. I normally tend to talk too much. Now I don't know what to say.
No, that's fine. Bruce, thank you so much. It was great. And you guys out there, look after yourself. You live your life. Turn that page around and you start writing your story. You are the writer. You take control. You take action. And if you don't know how to, in a few short weeks' time, the second edition of Steps to Sobriety will come out through Dawn Publishing, and it will be an amazing book. I loved the first edition of my book, and we've done a lot of rewriting there. So there will be lots of good material in there, and I will let you know more in due course. But we are talking really, it is now mid-May, so hopefully within 4 weeks' time, 6 weeks' time, our book will hit the market. So Steps to Sobriety will give you so much more information and will fit very perfectly with what Bruce and I have discussed today. So look after yourself, guys. Bye.